The name's Bond. James Bond.
No. I am your
fathers, brothers, nephews.
Why so serious?
Cousin's former roommate.
I am the knight. I am.
Matt the Matt here today, and my co-host, Zack and Zack here.
Hello.
How you doing today, Zack?
Doing good?
Good. Well, today we have a few topics we're going to go through today that came out this week. First of all, before we started the show today, they did release the first trailer for Godzilla. Godzilla vs. Kong. That was going to be one of our main topics today. At first, it was just going to be talking about the change of the release date. But right before the show started, they dropped the trailer. I thought they were going to wait for one of the football games today to drop the trailer during halftime or whatever. But I guess they wanted to drop it early. So, let's start. That's going to be our first topic today.
Yep.
The Godzilla vs. Kong release date change and the trailer.
Well,
so
2020 is still impacting 2021.
Yes, sir. And also, I also want to bring up, you can go on our page, Attack the Mat, on Facebook, and we have a link to the trailer. So if you want to watch the trailer first, and then tune into our podcast, you're more than welcome to do that. Or listen to our thoughts, and then go watch the trailer. Either way, the trailer is on our link on Facebook, so be sure to check that out.
Yep.
So, Zack.
Yeah.
First of all, what are your thoughts about the other Godzilla Kong movies?
I mean, they were movies, but they're good popcorn movies. These are not the movies that you go in and go like, I'm looking for a technical masterpiece, because half of it's CGI, the other half is people going like, oh, wow, oh my gosh, explosion, running away from the falling towers or whatever. So it's very kind of like summer action movie type stuff. They've been good. You don't watch them for substance, you watch them for style. So, great explosion movies.
They're kind of like the Transformers movies.
Right, you watch them, you turn your brain off.
You're not going to watch a Transformer movie for Academy Award-winning acting or great directing. You're going for popcorn, turn your brain off, watch robots fight each other, and watch hot girls run around.
Yeah, and now you're watching, Godzilla and Kong do it.
Yeah. The first Godzilla movie...
Is this the third time they've done this?
This is the...
second?
Fourth in their monster universe.
Okay.
We had... And I was actually going to go right into that. We had Godzilla in 2014 that had Aaron Taylor Johnson, Bryan Cranston, and Elizabeth Olsen in that one. I didn't mind that one. My problem with that one was you're not showing enough of the monster, and when you do, you're cutting away to the human characters, and we're here to keep seeing Godzilla. And then they had Kong, Skull Island, in 2017, and that was set like during the Vietnam War. And they had Samuel Jackson, Brie Larson, Alexander Skarsgård. I didn't mind that one. Well, that one at least had more of Kong in it than Godzilla had of Godzilla in the Godzilla movie. And then the recent one, Godzilla King of the Monsters, it was alright. That was another one that was spending too much time on the humans and not enough on the monsters. But at least this time they learned we need to show more of the monsters fighting instead of cutting away to the humans.
Yeah.
But overall, I still haven't been that impressed with their monster universe. Yes, the special effects look great. But once again, we live in a world now where almost any movie that has a sizable budget is going to have great effects. I need a story and characters that actually motivate me to want to keep watching or keep returning. So, those are my thoughts. Do you have anything to add on the other films?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing about this, let's get into the breaking down the trailer just a little bit. Because I think the one good thing about the trailer is that it shows that human part. Like, it's giving you the human story.
Yeah.
When you watch the trailer. Oh, Kong, it has this connection to
And
this
this
little
girl.
girl and everything else. So they're giving you that human angle. And I think, and what I hope that they're doing for this is that they're just using that part as the impetus for everything else.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't want them to be focusing on that. It's like I want them to say, oh, Godzilla for some reason attacked this little girl who was on a military boat, and then Kong said, oh no you didn't, and then Kong and Godzilla fight, and we kind of forget about the humans. That's just, it's the spark that starts the fight, but it's not, I don't want it to continue to be the entire thing in the fights.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing for me and how I'm kind of thinking about it. I don't want that storyline to basically be like, oh, Godzilla takes a blast at the kid in the city and Kong has to like jump in the way of the laser beam blast. It's like, I don't care to see that. I don't want to see that.
Well, I think
We're in monster fight territory. Let's stay on monster fight.
I agree your point there, and I don't know if they're trying to make up, like in all the Kong movies, from the original to the Peter Jackson remake that I actually think is very underrated, where you always had Kong protect some female character in some way. I hope they're not using that trope of, okay, we got Kong, so we're just going to stick a female character in there for him to protect. Because we've seen that in all the other Kong movies. So, also I've noticed in the trailer, obviously there are a divide. You got the people that are on Godzilla's side from the Godzilla movie, and now we got these new characters from the Kong movie. Or on the Kong side. But here's my thing about King Kong, though. The King Kong movie took place like in the 70s. So between the 70s to present day, where has Kong been? And how are all these people...
Well, according to the trailer, he was on a boat and he was not moving fast.
For 40 years.
Yeah.
For almost 40, 50 years.
Well,
That's been a slow boat.
That's what the trailer says. He was on a boat.
And then who are these people that are on Kong's side? Because I think only one of them, Alexander Skarsgård, was in the Kong movie, but he looks exactly the same in the present day as he did in the 70s. So does he not age at all? That's a little confusing. Because Millie Bobby Brown is once again, she was in the last Godzilla movie. Even she looks older in this one. So I'm like, okay, Alexander Skarsgård hasn't aged a day. Typical Skarsgård family gene, obviously. But Millie Bobby Brown has aged a couple of years already, and she looks like she has. So...
Well, we're going into the suspend your disbelief mode into this.
And yes, I understand this is a monster movie with a giant gorilla and a giant lizard. But also at the end of the day, like, explain that one. Explain the human character not aging at all.
There is no explanation for that.
And where's Samuel L. Jackson when you need him? I'm waiting for the line. We got M and F fighting in city. We got giant lizard and giant gorilla fighting.
See, at that point in time, they just need to make like an Avengers joke and just have like that and just go like, I guess it's just like too bad there's not like some group that can come and save our butts.
That would actually be funny if that actually showed up in the movie. Where does that team? Oh, different studio.
See, what I think they should do. Here's what I hear if we're going... Because there is a Marvel reference in the trailer. Because there's a point near the end of the trailer where Godzilla shoots off his beam and Kong comes in wielding the hammer of Mjolnir that legitimately is absorbing Godzilla's laser blast, absorbs it, and then just whacks him with it. And it's like, oh, that's legit a Marvel thing. That's
exactly what Thor was doing, going out after Thanos.
Right.
In Infinity War, coming down with the hammer.
Right.
I'm just waiting for Khan to go, you should have gone for the head.
No, what I think would be really cool if they bring in, like, this is an elite tactical team of the best and top warriors of everything, and they, like, you show them, like, walking down a plane ramp or whatever, and then you just have, like, Godzilla or Kong step on them and just kill them. There's your Avengers reference, or a Justice League reference, however, whichever one you dislike, it can be there for you. And you just, like, wipe them out, and just like, oh, well, Earth's mightiest heroes, gone in a flash.
So let me ask a question. They didn't really show it in the trailer, but do you think there's going to be another monster showing up?
Well, it showed those winged creatures.
But I don't know if those were flashbacks of Kong on his own island, and that's when he first had beef with Godzilla at that time. Or do you think there's going to be another Mothra or another Ghidorah giant showing up? Because they did hint that at the end of Godzilla King of the Monsters in the post-credit scene that there was another monster coming.
I can see this movie taking one of two turns. And that is, the turn is, because in the trailer, you'll see it's like, only one will survive. And you go like, well, that's the red herring. That could be the red herring, because that's what it looks like. And the double red herring is that audio in the trailer at one point they say is she going like, why is Godzilla attacking? Like, they're so bewildered that Godzilla is attacking them.
Why is Godzilla attacking humans?
Right. It's like, why? Why is he doing it? So you could say that, whatever, they could have the thing where it's like the other monsters are causing Godzilla to attack or whatnot.
Godzilla got COVID.
Yeah,
it's
Godzilla got COVID.
He got COVID. He's on a rampage. That's what's going on.
He's going like, I'm sick of your crud.
He needed more toilet paper.
Yeah. He's going like, where is it? But I think what's going to end up being, my spoiler prediction for the movie is that Godzilla is lashing out or somehow being controlled by the other monsters. And sooner or later, Godzilla and Kong stop fighting because other monster shows up. And then both of them go and fight the other monster, destroy the other monster, and then they move on with their lives. That would be my assumption for what happens.
You have an idea? I don't know much about the whole monster lore, Godzilla lore, Kong lore.
I think there's another one. There's Gamera, which is the turtle, or whatever. All I remember is just... I remember watching a movie as a child that was like just on TV one time, and it was just a turtle flying around and shooting jets from its thing. But I'm pretty sure that's Gamera. Gamera! I don't remember.
I hope there's no turtle. I think I might walk out of the theater if I see a giant
Well, at that
turtle.
point in time, we're going like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and like the other stuff where they take the... What's it? Oh, shoot. I'm losing all credibility now because I can't remember the... Bebop and Rocksteady, I think?
Yep.
Yeah, there we go. There,
Yeah.
I'm not a completely total waste of a 90s kid.
Alright, so I think that's our thoughts on the trailer. Also, this movie was originally supposed to come out in May, but because of HBO and Warner Brothers, the HBO Max fiasco that happened, we recently found out that they moved the release date up to March, the end of March of this year. So instead of coming out in May, it will be out in March. And this movie will be on HBO Max and in theaters. And this is one of those movies I will be seeing in theaters, not on my home TV, because this is a movie I will pay to see in theaters. Giant IMAX, surround sound, Kong, Godzilla going at it. I'll pay.
Yeah, this is kind of the big... This is the type of movie in which you have the debate of movie theaters versus streaming. Mm-hmm. And you can have that. And that's why, personally, I think doing it the way that they are is doing it the best of both worlds. You release it in the theaters because that's going to be the highest end, unless you have built your own movie theater with rumble chairs and all that stuff and a giant screen. It's like you're not going to get a bigger screen than a movie theater. And you're just not going to have it. But
IMAX. I mean, IMAX. I'm not even going to see this in a regular theater. I'm going to go to either the Dolby Prime at AMC or their IMAX screen and see this movie.
Right.
I'm not even gonna mess with a regular projection theater. IMAX or the Prime. That's it.
Right. And then you can have that for the people who want that experience. That's what the movie theater is there for. But then you can have someone else like my mom and dad who might just go like, "Oh, we don't care to see it in there," but they have HBO Max. And then I just go like, "Oh, it's a Friday night and we want to watch something, throw it on."
We want to watch something fun and dumb.
Right. So there's that. So you have the people who want it's like they want the full experience, which would be the movie theater experience, but then you're also getting it for the people who are not, they don't care. Because there's a lot of people who are just like, I don't care how I consume it, I just want to consume it. There's someone out there who's going to watch it on their iPhone with their AirPods or whatever in their ears, and that's how they're going to watch it for the first time, and they'll go like, "Oh, cool," and they'll move on with life.
And yes, and I like I said, I haven't been a fan of this monster universe so far, and none of the movies have been like, "Yeah, that was great." So I could see someone, a regular person, a regular Joe, meaning like, I didn't like the other movies when I saw them in theaters. This one I have the option to stay at home and watch it on HBO Max. So I'm gonna do that instead. I'm not gonna go put money down in the theater when I didn't like the 3 previous movies. And you'll have those people.
Or let's take it out in the fact, like, let's just pick another movie. Let's say this was whatever, a generic sequel to a first movie that you didn't like, but you're bored. I guess I'll turn on HBO Max, look under the new thing, and say, "Oh, that just came out." I remember seeing the original movie, however long ago. This is a sequel. I'm bored. Let's watch it.
Okay, I just thought of this. I know we're about to wrap up on this segment. For some reason, I just thought of this when thinking about the trailer. The little girl in the trailer. Now, I don't know what time period that scene takes place in, but I know the actress Jessica Henwick. She was in Iron Fist. She was the Asian.
Yes.
She's in this movie. They never showed her in the trailer. So I have a theory that the little girl ends up being this actress grown up in present day.
Could be.
Because they did either Jessica Henwick, she was in Iron Fist, she was just in the movie Love and Monsters. Go look her up on IMDb. And like I said, they didn't show her in the trailer. Well, when I just was reminded of the little girl, like, I have a feeling that little girl grows up and is Jessica Henwick's character. So, that's just a theory I have. So, anyway.
Well, talking about casting choices.
Yeah, they have a dominant cast here. You got casting from, I think you got Godzilla cast from, like, Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things. Kyle Chandler's returns as her father from, like, Friday Night Lights, Wolf of Wall Street. You got Alexander Skarsgård. You got Isa Gonzalez. She was in Hobbs and Shaw. I think you got Rebecca Hall's in this movie. She's from The Town, The Prestige. I don't know if Vera Farmiga's going to be back. She played the mother of Millie Bobby Brown in the movie. She's probably going to be... I don't know if Ken Watanabe is going to return from the first Godzilla movie. I would love to see Aaron Taylor Johnson or Elizabeth Olsen return also from that first Godzilla film. But we'll see. But it already has a stacked cast already. I'm just wondering how, and that's the one worry I already have with the movie, just like the previous movies. Too many human characters. I don't want the focus to be on the humans. I'm coming to see Godzilla Kong.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a little human story to get the ball rolling, but then I just want the two monsters fighting. So, once again, this movie comes out in the end of March, about 2 months from today. And probably when this movie comes out, we'll have our own review once we see it. But thank you for listening to our podcast of Godzilla Kong.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to move forward now to our next topic. Zack, you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. Our next topic is going to be the Wonka prequel set for March 17th. So another March movie set up right now. And there are some interesting casting stuff. Oh, this is for 2023.
Yes.
Is when this one will come out.
We got 2 years, people. Mm-hmm. Hopefully by then, things will be back to normal. Hopefully. So WB Warner Brothers came out earlier this week, earlier last week, and said they are moving forward with their Wonka prequel. Now, this is a prequel to the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory movies. This is a movie they've been talking about for a couple of years, actually. I remember at one point, they were actually looking at Ryan Gosling or Donald Glover to play Willy Wonka. Now, how we went from Ryan Gosling and Donald Glover to Tom Holland and Timothée Chalamet is another story on its own. But WB has come out and said, we are making a Wonka prequel. Now, I don't know why they're making a Wonka prequel. That's another whole... I don't know why.
I don't know why they even remade it. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the original one, was what it was. It's like, it's a movie. It was a great movie, and then there's a period. You don't need to do anything else in this universe. This is one of, for me, I feel as if, why are we touching this again? It's what it is what it was. You don't need to, not everything needs to have a sequel, a prequel, or this or that or another. We don't have to expand the universe of every single type of successful movie into something more. Willy Wonka was Willy Wonka. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was that movie. Now, we're getting it, so let's talk about it. Well, which technically prequel are we going for? Is this Johnny Depp or Gene Wilder?
Well, you see, that's the thing. They made a remake in 2005. It hit its 15th anniversary last year. And that had, Johnny Depp playing the role. Tim Burton directed that one. That one was apparently more truer to the book than the original movie. The original was more, musical. They had singing and everything. The sequel didn't really have that at all, or the remake. And you got very different Wonkas in both of those movies. You got Gene Wilder, who was more in the fun, crazy...
The eccentric one.
Yeah. And then you got Johnny Depp, Michael Jackson ripoff in Wonka, and Michael Jackson Wonderland. I mean... That's really, Johnny Depp even said that's what he was going for. So, and the odd thing now coming to this prequel is when you look at the names that they're looking at, Tom Holland, Timothée Chalamet, I go, what Wonka are you doing? Because one actor, you can look at and go, okay, he looks more like a younger, in terms of his other acting credits and the way he presents himself, he looks more like a Gene Wilder Willy Wonka. And then you look at Tom Holland, for instance, and I say, I think he can be more like a Johnny Depp Wonka. So I'm still very confused as to what direction of a Wonka they're going with. Are they going for a blank slate? Or are you actually going to take either the original Wonka, Gene Wilder, or the remake with Johnny Depp and do a prequel based on one of those? Zach, what are your thoughts?
Me personally, I've seen Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the original, multiple times. I've seen Wonka once. So I would say go with the more successful out of the two. And that would be you base it off of the old original one.
And to me, if you knew that, I'm going to say Timothée Chalamet is the perfect choice. If you've seen any of his roles, he's weird, he's quirky, he has this long, the long curly hair, he's tall and lengthy. He has that more of a, I can see him in the outfit, with the hat on, with the purple suit, sort of, and being all crazy and funny and all that, eccentric.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Holland, I don't see him as Wonka. I like Tom Holland, don't get me wrong. And I like not only him as Spider-Man, but some of his more recent, more dramatic work. But I still say, I don't see him as Wonka. Now, if they said Ryan Gosling, like they originally had Ryan Gosling as an idea, as a contender, about 2 or 3 years ago, when this project first came about, I would have said, yeah, I could see Ryan Gosling. He has that eccentricness. He can be funny. He can be a little weird and dark if he needs to be. Someone isolated in a giant, mansion or castle for years and years and years. I don't see... So if it was like Ryan Gosling or Timothée Chalamet, I'd be like, you know what? I could go with either one of those. But when you say Tom Holland and Chalamet, I'm going to go Chalamet 100%.
Well, right now, here's the bias in here. Tom Holland is getting tossed around because it's Tom Holland, and right now he's the, he's the hot new young actor that's hitting the scene.
Mm-hmm.
You
And that's what Warner Brothers wants. But the thing is, Warner Brothers also already has Timothée Chalamet, who's going to be in Dune. He's the star of Dune.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see why they're looking at him.
Right.
He's already in their pocket, so to speak. So he's one of those. I have a feeling he's going to be Timothée Chalamet no matter what. I think Tom Holland just thrown in there to be like, we need another actor to put up for now? Or is this a test of, let's see what actor gets the most traction?
Could be.
Could be. I mean, do you have a pick on either one of those?
I would probably say... I mean... it depends on which Wonka they're going for, but...
And that's the thing, we don't know. We don't know what Wonka they're going...
Right.
But when I see Chalamet, I go, Gene Wilder. That's like the most obvious, thought process.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if you were going for something and if you wanted to make the movie bigger, and eventually, because this is the prequel, quote unquote, and then you want to go and do something that's in the future and have that scene,
yeah.
Well, Gene Wilder is not around.
No.
So unless you reuse old footage, you don't have that. Johnny Depp, still around.
He's still around, but he's in
hot water.
Celebrity jail.
Yeah.
I like to call it.
Yeah. Which, in 2 years, that's probably going to be over and done with. So, who knows?
And yeah, like I said, we don't know what Warner Brothers' long-term, plan is. Are they going to do a prequel and then remake the original again and have that actor come back and play the more adult version, but now grown up, instead of having to recast later? Maybe. But I just don't know what you're going to do in the prequel, though. That's the thing that I mean, they even explored that a little bit in the Johnny Depp Wonka movie in flashbacks. So I'm like, what else are you going to do?
Don't know.
I mean,
This whole thing is just a giant question
is
mark.
it going to be a 2-hour movie on what candy he's going to pick? I mean,
I'm going to somehow invent the everlasting gobstopper.
really, it's funny, but not funny at the same time.
I'm sorry, but I don't consider that. Okay, let's go back to this debate. Streaming versus movies. Would never see this movie in a theater. Would watch it, potentially, if it popped up on streaming.
Man, I'm not, and like I said, I'm not even a big fan of the Johnny Depp Wonka movie. I watched that once in the past 15 years. So, I don't know, it's just an interesting idea to make a prequel for one. I would have rather them come out and say, yeah, we're remaking. I'm like, okay, it's been 15 years. By the time the movie comes out, it'll be about 17 years. Okay, that's fine. Remake it. Why not? You do it in Hollywood anyway. So
That's all Hollywood is right now, is sequels or remakes.
Mm-hmm.
You're not getting that many original stories.
So anyway, as we wrap up this topic today, we'll probably be hearing an official announcement sometime this year, because they'll probably have to start shooting by the end of the year, early next year, or early 2023 release. So stay tuned for more updates on that. Now we're going to move on to our third topic of today.
The most important topic, as far as I'm concerned.
It is an important topic. Zack, what's the next?
Alright, we have official confirmation that Justice League will not be a miniseries. So technically, back to our first episode, yes, this was totally justified on being my top 10 movies of the year, because yes, Justice League will be a 4-hour movie rather than a miniseries. Matt, what are your thoughts?
Well, Zack Snyder did come out this past week and said no, it is going to be a movie, not a miniseries. Before this, it was classified as a miniseries. It was going to be 4 episodes throughout the month of March. I guess an hour each episode each week. And now Zack Snyder said, no, it's a 4-hour movie. Now, what I wanted to bring up with this topic is not, Zack Snyder came out and said it's going to be a 4-hour. At the end of the day, we knew it was going to be a 4-hour movie. Just split up into 4 parts.
Right.
It's like watching Lord of the Rings. Technically, it's 3 movies. 1 movie split up into 3.
Yeah.
I mean, they stop at a certain point, and they continue right where the last one left off, and you can literally sit home for about, 7 hours, 8 hours, and watch the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy, if you want to.
Right, but there's also a difference. This is why I think I like this, because basically because miniseries and movies are also different.
Yeah.
Because if you're shooting a miniseries, each episode generally has its own plot inside of the larger plot. So that means that you're taking up you're taking time away from the larger plot for whatever subplot is of the episode. Now, the good part here is that it's just a movie. You're able to trim the fat a little bit, get a more streamlined movie, and kind of take away some of the stuff that you would generally add in just to make the miniseries a miniseries.
And also, with the miniseries, if you're having to tune in weekly, that means as a director, as a storyteller, you're having to find a spot to end the episode that will leave your viewer wanting to come back.
Yeah, there has to be 3 hooks.
And in a 4-hour movie, and then decide, we're going to do it as a miniseries, And now we gotta go in and find the right spot 3 separate times that is the perfect way to end one subplot or one storyline we're working on, but still have enough there that someone's gonna say, I'm gonna come back next Sunday and watch the next episode. And I was worried about that. I was like, because right there from the beginning, this was supposed to be a movie. Like when they said Justice League way back when Batman v Superman came out, they're like, no, this is gonna be a movie. A movie. Not a miniseries, not Zack Snyder and the other writers wrote it a screenplay as a movie. So when the news came out, oh yeah, it's gonna be on HBO Max, it's gonna be, and then like, it's gonna be a miniseries. I'm like, what? Who decided that one? It was always a movie. Now, we didn't know how long the movie was going to be, but, and then when they said it's going to be 4 hours. Now, I'm like, that's fine. I mean, the Lord of the Rings theatrical version of the third one was 3.5 hours. What's another half hour? The Irishman that came out in 2019, that was a 3.5 hour movie. So I wanted to kind of get in a little bit of a debate here of, would you rather have it as a miniseries or as a movie? Because, people are saying, I've been reading stuff online, like, I'm not going to sit for 4 hours and watch this in one sitting. But at the end of the day, we are now groomed as a society to binge watch a show. Like,
well, that's the Netflix. One thing that people have had before. I've had this conversation with some people before, and it's just saying, like, oh, it's that whole thing of just going like, oh, I don't want to watch something that's that long. I don't want to watch something that's 4 hours long. I don't want to watch something that's, 3.5 hours long. But I'll sit there and watch 6 episodes where each episode is a 1 hour episode, which is cut down from the ads about 40 minutes. So it's like, so you're doing longer.
Or if you go on Netflix and when you don't have ads, where they have episodes of an hour long each, and you decide to just sit there one afternoon or one evening and binge 3 to 4 episodes, guess what? That's 3 to 4 hours. That's about the length of the movie. Now, yes, you can argue and say, well, after that episode, there's going to be a stopping point and a cliffhanger, and if I choose to get up and go do something, I can get up and do something. Rather than a movie, yeah, I can pause it, but I'm in the middle of it. There's no cliffhanger. I'm just going to randomly pause it when I need to go get up and do something, but there's no real stopping point. Yes, that is true. But once again, I say, if you're one of those people, like most people, you get into a show, and okay, it's, I get home from work, got nothing going on the rest of the evening, I'm going to make some dinner real quick, and then I'm going to sit down, and I'm going to start this new show that came out Friday, and you get into episode 1, you're enjoying it, you say, you know what, I'm going to go right into episode 2. Next thing you know, you're 4 episodes in, it's 11 p.m. at night, and you're like, oh wow, I just got through half the season in one evening. But then you're going to say, oh, I'm not going to watch that 4-hour movie.
I think the biggest thing for where it comes down to is not if this was completely reshot, redone, and redid everything, doing it as a miniseries might have been the better choice.
No, they only shot about 7 minutes of new footage.
Right. It's like the amount of reshoots. Most of this movie is coming from stuff that wasn't put into the original, that was on the cutting room floor because a new director took over and said, I don't like it. So you had a lot of stuff that's being put into this that was from the cutting room floor, and then you had minimal reshoots. So doing something like a miniseries out of Justice League is the movie is the right course of action. Now, if in their reshoots they legitimately reshot half the movie to then make it a miniseries, then that would make sense. Because as we were talking earlier, A movie and a miniseries is very different. Just chopping up a movie into shorter parts is not how you make a miniseries. For a miniseries, each episode has their own plot line. That's the plot line of the episode and the overarching miniseries plot line. So each episode would take its own thing. So if you are having this thing, maybe the first episode of the miniseries, if you were doing Justice League the miniseries, the first episode would be formating the group. And then you formate the group 3/4 in, you immediately have something bad happen where they have to run out and go fight as a team, and then they get their butts kicked. And then you're at the end of just going like, we spent this entire thing gathering all these people together, and they still lost. Oh my god, how the heck are they going to overcome these odds now? That's how you would do, like, episode 1. Episode 2 would be, okay, you have the interpersonal fighting. Hey, we lost. You have Batman and Aquaman fight against each other and all that stuff. But going against the Justice League in the way that it was just Steppenwolf, it doesn't make for a miniseries. The content of what it was does not make for a miniseries. It makes for a movie. It hands down makes itself for a 4-hour movie. If you wanted to do Justice League the miniseries should be up against Lex Luthor and the Legion of Doom. Like, that's what it should be. It's like you should be fighting group against group, and that can be a miniseries because then you can go like, oh, you have whatever, these other minor characters who get sent off to do a heist or whatever, and Batman and Aquaman have to team up to beat these two people, and that's your kind of in-episode storyline of Batman and Aquaman's differences, and they're having to get together and overcome their differences to become closer and work better as a team. That's your episode storyline, while the overarching plot of the miniseries is beat the Legion of Doom. So that would make sense, but you can't do that for this because it was shot as a movie for the original Justice League, and then tragedy struck Zack Snyder, and Joss Whedon came in, and then he changed the direction of what it was. So it's basically a puzzle was started, and that puzzle was just one giant puzzle, and then, it wasn't finished, and now we're finishing it. That's what this is. It's not a whole new production. That's why it's called the Snyder Cut, not the Snyder miniseries.
Now, the other question I do have is when they originally came out and said we're making a Justice League movie, they did say at that point that we do have a plan for a sequel. That the first movie would end on a cliffhanger of sorts. It would still close out a story, but still leave like an Easter egg at the end, like a post-credit scene that would hint at a sequel. Now, I don't know if this 4-hour movie now is going to put maybe some of their ideas for that Justice League 2 in this one, because we know Darkseid is going to be in this movie.
Right.
Darkseid never made an appearance in the Joss Whedon cut.
Right, all you ever saw was the Omega symbol and the...
That's it. The Omega symbol. But we've already seen in the trailer Darkseid. So, I don't know if the first half of this 4-hour movie is going to be Steppenwolf, and then the last 2 hours are going to be Darkseid, or are they hoping that if this movie is a success on HBO Max, they do decide, let's make that sequel.
See, in a perfect universe, the DC Extended Universe, or the DC Cinematic Universe, would have done the exact same smart thing that Marvel did. In a perfect universe, that's what they would have, should have, could have done. So they would have had a Batman movie, a Superman movie. Well, they had Superman first, so they had a Superman movie, then a Batman movie, then a Wonder Woman movie, then an Aquaman movie, then a Flash movie, and then you have the Justice League movie. So that way you've already established everyone and do that. Well, they wanted to try and get to the Avengers of the DC universe as quickly as possible. And that's what their thought was. So they kind of rushed it, jumped the gun, and messed it all up. So, in a perfect world, things could have been much better. Because, realistically, you always want an escalation. So if you look at what Marvel is doing right now, you had the stuff. Avengers first hit, like, you had the solo movies where the villains were all slowly escalating in how bad and how powerful the villain was. You get to Avengers. Who is it? You have Loki and there's, the mystical forces of Thanos in there. In Avengers 2, you have Ultron and all this stuff. And then, boom, finally we get to the big boy himself, Thanos comes in. Well, what are we doing next? You saw the elevation of the villains. And that's kind of how things work. When you move further down a series, the antagonist should be getting bigger. That's storytelling 101. You don't want to end up, 4 books in or 3 movies in to your story, and then all of a sudden your antagonist is less than the antagonist from the first one. So going for Darkseid now kind of feels weird, because now
I don't know. I'll disagree on you with that one. I'll disagree on that, and here's why. If they had Darkseid in the Whedon cut, I would have said then it's too early. But now, this is a different ballgame now. And I say that because now that we're getting the Zack Snyder cut that is going to have Darkseid in it, and like I said, I don't know how big of a role Darkseid will be playing in this new movie. For all I know, he could literally be the last 10 minutes of the film. I don't know. In a 4-hour movie. And that could still be the setup for a sequel. I don't know. But the reason, if he's in there longer than even 20 minutes, 30 minutes, let's say, I will say that's okay. And here's why. Now that we have waited for the Snyder Cut, it's already been over 3 years since the Whedon Cut. And in those 3 years, we have gotten a Wonder Woman movie. We have gotten an Aquaman movie. We have gotten another Wonder Woman movie. We are going to get a Flash movie soon.
And then we'll talk about that in a second.
But my point is, at least now that we've gotten a Wonder Woman, an Aquaman, more characters in their own movies, I'm okay with now saying, here's the big bad of the DC.
Yeah.
If you had Darkseid 3 years ago, before Aquaman, and we've only had a Man of Steel and a Batman v Superman movie, I would have been like, no, it's too early. It's way too early. Steppenwolf is fine. He's a lower level villain. That's fine. Kind of like Loki in Avengers. Like, yeah, okay, Loki, fine. You're not bringing in Thanos in Avengers 1. You're saving him. And we had more movies in the MCU. We had a Black Panther movie. We had Spider-Man. We had Captain Marvel. We had another Iron Man. A couple more Captain Americas. Hulk. Thor. Okay. But now that we're further in, we had Birds of Prey. We had Suicide Squad. Now I can say, okay. Now, does it 100% balance out? No. But it's better than, we got 2 movies in. Let's bring our number 1 villain in this whole universe. No. Now I can say, okay. Oh, and like I said, if the movie ends where they do hint at more Darkseid, possibly, I'll say, okay. That's fine. At least that's my take.
Yeah, I could see that. If the biggest thing is to where this is all somewhat a moot point is because Flashpoint. That's one of the things that they're doing with Flash, and Flashpoint is basically it's one of the reboots.
Yeah, and I would. Here's my thing. I'm more okay with Darkseid at this point than I am a Flashpoint movie. Because we really haven't had, a Flash movie. So why would you be doing Flashpoint as your first Flash movie? That doesn't make any sense. 2, for something so big like Flashpoint, where you're grabbing other characters from other universes, like a Michael Keaton returning, also having Ben Affleck in there. Who knows what other side characters? We could have someone else playing Wonder Woman for all we know. Linda Carter could return. They can get the Flash from back in the 70s or 80s to return.
You'll get Grant Gustin from the
CW to return.
Which technically they teased
They've
on
already
the
done.
Flash
Yeah.
TV show.
So
they had Ezra Miller on there.
You're doing such a big story when you haven't even had the character hasn't even had his own solo film yet. It'd be one thing if this was like the second or third Flash movie, and he said, to wrap up the Flash trilogy, we're gonna do Flashpoint now.
Yeah, but I think they're going to Flashpoint for the more bigger thing, which is a reboot of everything.
Yeah.
So it allows them because Flashpoint is not a multiverse type of deal. It would be the Flash visiting different timelines if that's kind of how they do it, and then they would at the end they would reboot everything. So they would say like, oh, we're going back to Man of Steel, and then Man of Steel is quote unquote canon, but then everything else is not. It's kind of like and now this is the new the new base layer of what's going on, which I don't think movie audiences are ready for that. They're much more okay. When Michael Keaton was Batman, and then he stopped being Batman, and then we had a new Batman take over. It's like everyone understood, oh, this is a different Batman. Just like James Bond. Whenever, Sean Connery left, and then you had Roger Moore, Pierce Brosnan, everyone else. It's like, it's just another movie of this character, but it's not necessarily connected with everything else. So that's how people and we perceive this stuff. But that's not how comic books did that stuff. They had their characters because they didn't have someone playing the character and able to just swap that out. They had to come up with scenarios that would reboot so that way they could say, all right, now we're starting back to zero with these characters. Well, Flashpoint was a back to zero moment so that way they could say, okay, now we change everything and now, we're doing this with the character. So that's what that's for, but that's not how we as an audience consume those back to zero moments.
Now, maybe in the Justice League Snyder Cut we'll get more of the Flash than we did in the Whedon Cut. That will maybe flesh his character out more to lean into the Flash movie. Possibly. But here's my thing that I was just thinking about. It would have been like if Marvel and Sony got Spider-Man and said for their first Spider-Man movie, we're going to do the Spider-Verse. You're going to be like, huh? Yeah, you know that Tom Holland guy you saw in Civil War? Well, his first solo movie is going to be Spider-Verse. Mm-hmm. And we're bringing in Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. You're going to be like, what? We don't even know the Spider-Man yet. That's how it is right now with the Flash. Mm-hmm. We don't know this Flash. But we're going to open up the multiverse and have fun.
The biggest problem with Flash as a character in its position of what they're doing in the cinematic universe of DC is that Flash as a character, would benefit greatly from being, okay, let's assume that we did the DC Extended Universe just like the Marvel. Equating of whose movie should have gone where. Flash should be the Thor of what it was. You had the two movies, they're not really that important, and then you have the third one that everyone, is which took over a popular storyline. So
it should have been, if I may.
Yeah.
Man of Steel is Iron Man. A Batman film is The Incredible Hulk. Flash is Thor. And then Wonder Woman is Captain America.
Yes.
I mean, really.
That's truly what it should have been, because then you get it's like the big four. Realistically, if we could have somehow just kept it to the Trinity, which is Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, and not worry about Flash. But the bigger thing is, like, for the first, if you want to equate the first Thor movie for what it was a period piece. In effect, all it did was introduce Thor to the real world, because most of it took place on Asgard. This is very simple. You keep it really small. You don't, like, you might have whatever, a TV on that says Superman did something, or, you know, there's a bat running around in Gotham or something like that, but you don't really connect Flash to anyone. Flash is its own thing, because Flash's main villains are the Rogues. Those are really more smaller time people. We've already escalated the stuff to such a high place in the DCU. We needed to have had Flash's first movie to be back when the tensions were, oh my god, we're someone's stealing money from the bank or whatnot. Not, oh my god, we're all gonna die because whoever is destroying the world.
I mean, my thing was always, I really think what they should have done, DC, I mean, they should have started their DC universe with the Justice League movie. Just had the team already together. And then jump off into solo films. It's like having the X-Men movie, first X-Men. All these characters you didn't know, you threw them in one movie. You had Rogue, you had Wolverine, you had Cyclops, Storm, Jean, Xavier, Magneto, all of them. You threw them in one movie. Most people had no idea who these characters are unless you read a comic book. And then after that movie, then you go and do other ones. They could have gone that route. And I think that would have been a better route to take. Because
Yes.
you already had you would have already casted the actors. You already had them lined up, set the contract for multi-film deals, and you would have set them up in that first movie, the team dynamic. You could have peppered in a little things here and there for each one, and then jump off from there. Then go do your Man of Steel. Then go do your Batman movie. Then do a flashback of Wonder Woman during World War I. But at least you would have already had a team.
Right. If it was like, to equate this back to our childhood, if you had just done the Justice League animated show and had it start off, which was, the Justice League is already a thing, they're together, and this is how we're going. This is where we're starting our plot line. Like, we're not worrying, we'll tell the how we came together, later. But we're together, deal with it. And if they moved in, started from there, then that would be a thing. Problem is, they started with nothing with Superman, and then had to quickly reintroduce everyone else.
Now, okay, we're going to wind down on this topic a little bit now. But my final thing is, now, Zack Snyder has already come out and said, yes, this is going to be on HBO Max. But he also, and I think this is where the 4-hour movie came into play more than anything. Obviously, when they said it's going to be a movie, it's going to be released right off the bat. One day, boom, watch it. Like you would like a Netflix movie or whatever. Snyder also said, we do plan to have physical media. Like, we are going to put out a Blu-ray 4-hour movie on... Let me ask you, would you... I know you're not as big as into physical media as I am. What would your be preferred? HBO Max or the physical copy?
I have HBO Max because my dad has HBO Max. So I'll watch it on HBO Max. But if we didn't have HBO Max and it would be buying the Snyder Cut as a DVD or a digital download or something like that compared to, buying HBO Max, probably would have just said, I don't need to sign up for another monthly subscription and don't want to deal with that. I'll pay the, the $20 for the movie.
Less. Yeah. That's what I'm probably going to do. I don't have HBO Max. And since I already have the physical copies of Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, I'll probably wait and get the... Eventually, in the physical media comes out that same week that it's dropped on HBO Max, I'll get the physical media and then have a weekend where I do Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and then Snyder's Justice League. Kind of like a trilogy. So, those are our thoughts on Snyder's 4-hour movie versus miniseries.
Mm-hmm.
We are now going to go to our final topic of today. So, this Friday was the 13th anniversary of Heath Ledger's death. He died January 22nd, 2008. Do you remember where you were when you heard about this news?
It was more like a shock of just like hearing about it. For me, I didn't have a kind of like where was I type of moment for it, but it was definitely one of the times in which something has like shocked me of when I heard about it. Like recently, on Friday when I learned that Hank Aaron had died. That was a moment of just kind of like, oh, it hurts. It was one of those types of moments for me.
I always equate the Heath Ledger finding out the death of Heath Ledger as like the 9/11. Like when people say, where were you when 9/11, when you heard the news? I remember when Heath Ledger died, I was at home. I was in my computer room. At that time, my family had one computer in a family room, and I was editing some highlight video already, either soccer or lacrosse, whatever what I was working on at that time. And my friend Reese sent me a text message and said, Heath Ledger died. And I replied, ha ha, very funny. And I didn't mean it as a joke because he's the Joker. Like, ha ha. I mean, like, ha ha, that's...
Yeah,
no, he didn't die.
It was disbelief.
And the reason why I remember... I even said, like, that's not real. Because literally a month prior to his death, we got the first trailer for The Dark Knight. It was attached to I Am Legend, the Will Smith zombie film that took place in 2021. So, we had that to go on. A virus, that they got a vaccine, that turned them into zombies.
We're all gonna die.
Yeah. I remember being in the theater and we saw, I was with my friend Foster. It's actually his birthday today, if he was still here. We were seeing I Am Legend. And I for some reason forgot that they were going to put the Dark Knight trailer, attach it to I Am Legend, it was a Warner Brothers film. And I remember seeing the trailer, and that was our first glimpse at Heath Ledger's Joker, which are the voice, the mannerisms, the walk, the look. Because before that, we just had that still image of him in the jail, with his hands clasped together and him sitting down on the bench with the makeup and everything. And I remember going, okay, this is going to be a performance that's going to change a lot of things. And then a month later, like I said, I get that text message. And like I said, back then, the internet isn't like what it is now. It's not like I can pull out my phone and be like, oh yeah. I had to go on our main desktop computer and really look for this information, like, this has to be fake. And I guess to me, that was the first time that it kind of hit me. Because he was only 28 years old. I'm like, he's too young to die. What do you mean he's dead? He's only 28 years old. He's about to turn 29 like in April. And I remember hearing an interview with Jake Gyllenhaal, who he worked on with Brokeback Mountain. And Jake Gyllenhaal is the godfather to Heath Ledger's little girl, Matilda. Heath Ledger used to be married to Michelle Williams, at that point, they were already divorced. But he went on and he was talking about how when he heard the news, he was stunned. Not because it was shocking to hear that an actor died. He said it was more shocking because he was like, he stopped and realized, I'm the same age. I'm the same age as Heath. And he's already dead. He's dead at 28. What does that mean for me? You know, it kind of became this like, oh yeah, we do die. Doesn't matter how old we are. For me at least, after Ledger died, it became like I ended up going back and watching a lot of his movies. And that summer of '08, I even bought 2 biography books that came out after his death to read about during the summer. And this guy was so... It wasn't just acting for him. He took a lot of photography pictures. He has albums and albums and albums of photos that he took. And not like your typical mommy, daddy, sister, family photos, like artistic, looking stuff that he would want to buy and sell. And I know at the time that he died, before he died, he was looking at directing a movie. Now, I know the movie has already come out. I don't remember the story, but the movie has been made with somebody else directing. But he was a talent that just only started. Besides The Dark Knight, and we'll get into that in a second, are there any other movies that you say that you remember or come to mind?
For me, Heath Ledger was still one of the new actors that we were kind of still learning about. So, The Dark Knight really is that one for me. For me, you know more of the actors than I do. I know more of the characters and that stuff. That's kind of where my interest more lies and that stuff. That's why I love comic book movies so much, because I know the backstory for all of them because I read them, and so there's that. So for me, this was kind of really his breakout role to me, and it hurt. Like watching The Dark Knight, like it hurt because I knew, like going into the movie, it's like we're never getting more of this. And the Joker as a character has been fundamentally changed because of how amazing his acting was. And it shows you everything else. I mean, if you look at it from, the since after The Dark Knight, the since done animated features, or, Jared Leto's Joker and stuff like that. Heath Ledger made a permanent impact on the Joker, the way that it's perceived, the way that the grandiose of the character. The Joker was always like a big character and was always one of Batman's like more consistent villains. But other than the Killing Joke storyline, the Joker wasn't like, he was big, but he was still like B tier. Like A minus, kind of what it was. He was the consistent good villain for that. But as in terms of the character that has like all the stuff built up around him to face the Batman, you have Hush, the Court of Owls, Ra's al Ghul, Talia al Ghul, all those other characters who were quote unquote bigger threats than the Joker in the comic books. But as soon as Heath Ledger's and his performance came out, it's like all of those who were the biggest bads for Batman, it's like, no. The Joker is now the biggest bad for Batman.
Well, not even for Batman. If you look at the Joker, or you look at Heath Ledger's performance, if you even go back and watch documentaries on what he did for that role, like, the script is the script. The dialogue in the script is the dialogue. Okay. But if you look at what he did to come up with that performance, from the voice to the walking to the tongue thing, that wasn't in the script. He made that up on his own. I mean, and there's so many other things that he came up with that, Christopher Nolan was like, oh, okay, do that, try that. I mean, yes, the words on the page are the words on the page. Why so serious? Yes, that's in the script. He didn't come up with that on his own. But if you look at just the way he portrays the character, and the way he, like that one scene in the movie where when one of his henchmen is on the ground in the city, when the truck flipped over, and he's walking towards Batman, because Batman's on the ground, and he does that jump. You know how he did that jump? Heath Ledger is a skateboarder on the side. He loved to skateboard. He grabbed his skateboard off the set and said, I'll just skateboard over him. That's why when you see that weird jump that he does, under him is a skateboard. So you see the Joker skateboarding and does that jump, and you're like, stuff like that, you go, huh? Like, yeah, I'm going to grab my skateboard, no, don't get a stunt double or anything, I'm going to do it on my own, and just, but, I mean, there were so many other things in that movie that you go, how did you do this? I mean, I'm one of those people that every time I watch that movie, I say to myself, that is not Heath Ledger. Because I've seen all his other movies. That summer, I spent that whole summer watching every Ledger movie that there was, even Brokeback Mountain. And I still watch him in the dark and I go, that's not Heath Ledger. I'm sorry. There is nothing in that performance that says, there he is. The only minute moment is when he does smile and that long, greasy hair. The only moment that I say that's Ledger is from his first movie in the States, 10 Things I Hate About You, where he has the long, greasy hair and he's, goes up against one of the lockers and he has that smile with the toothpick in his mouth. I'm like, okay, that is literally the only moment where I see the Joker in that 2 seconds of you smiling with the long greasy hair. Mm-hmm. That's it. Because the voice is different, the mannerism, everything else is different. And I'm like, that's not Heath Ledger. I'm sorry.
Right. This is one of the, such an amazing performance in which he was able to divest all that other stuff. Like, okay, I'm going to make an analogy here. It's like Tom Cruise. You see a Tom Cruise movie, it's Tom Cruise doing this. I don't ever, oh yeah, that's this character being played by Tom Cruise. And he's like, no, this is Tom Cruise. They're just calling him a different name, doing other stuff. Like, it's the actor being the actor in the role. Heath Ledger was able to kind of completely, get that out. And just going like, no, it is just the character. You are getting just the character. You're not getting my whatever I do in every movie. Like Tom Cruise is running, a 5K in every movie.
And yes, you can argue and some people might even argue well, that's because he's wearing the makeup so you're having a little bit of a distortion. But I argue that now and say, well, in 2019 we had Joaquin Phoenix play the Joker. He won an Oscar, which also kind of speaks once again. The name Joker has now risen even to the Academy of this is a character you can take seriously. We're not looking at it as a comic book character.
Right.
We're looking at a character. Like, so now, 2 out of the 4 actors that have played the Joker on the big screen have won Oscars. And Joaquin Phoenix was great as the Joker. But when I watch Joaquin Phoenix still, I still see Joaquin Phoenix.
Right.
That's the difference. Even with the makeup and everything, I still see Joaquin. I watched The Dark Knight for the 100th millionth time, and I don't see Heath Ledger. Another one, like I said, his first movie in the States, 10 Things I Hate About You. It was a riff on one of the William Shakespeare Taming of the Shrew, I think it was. That's one of my favorites of his. He just brings that cool, badass, dark character. And he's funny. He's dramatic. He had great chemistry with Julia Stiles. Also, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, a very young Joseph Gordon-Levitt, was in that movie. And I swear to you, you look at Joseph Gordon-Levitt and you look at Heath Ledger, they look very similar now. Actually, I remember when The Dark Knight Rises was coming out, and they cast Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Everyone thought he's replacing Heath Ledger. I still remember those conversations. Luckily, that didn't happen. Well, there was a time, when Levitt has those long, greasy hair too, they're almost identical. It's almost kind of scary. But The Patriot is another one with Mel Gibson and your buddy Jason Isaac.
Oh, yeah.
He's in that. That's another one that still I enjoy watching. That was probably the second one I saw of his. It's still funny that 2 Australian actors are American patriots. We couldn't find American actors to represent America. But that's what I enjoy going back and watching. That's another one. He had a small role in that, but the other, A Knight's Tale, is another one. That's a fun one. With Paul Bettany's in that one too, and Mark Addy, who played the father Stark in Game of Thrones, the first season.
Oh, Sean Bean.
No, Mark. No, who is? No, not the father. The Mad King, the fat one.
Oh, the Baratheon. I know.
Yeah,
the
who was
name.
married to Cersei.
Yeah.
Him, Mark Addy, that guy.
Well, you said Stark, so I was going like,
Yeah,
I know that one.
For some reason I think it's Stark at first. But Mark Addy was in that. But then like I said, you go to like Monsters Ball, that was like his first real serious dramatic work with Millie Bob Thornton and Halle Berry, where she won her Oscar for that. And then of course like I think you go to like Brokeback Mountain, that got him his first nomination. And I still think he should have won that year over the late Philip Seymour Hoffman for Capote. I don't really say it. And then he did The Dark Knight, and it's like, I guess now I look back at his career, and I go, what could have been now 13 years later? Like, what else would he have? What else could we be talking about today? Like, would he have been in The Dark Knight Rises? Because that was, originally he was supposed to be. And, what role would he have played in that movie? Would he have just been in jail, Arkham, and Batman just going to see him periodically?
Right.
Almost like a Hannibal Lecter, Clarice Starling type of role? Or would we be playing The Dark Knight Returns, where he finally gets out, and he's wreaking havoc again, and we have an older Bruce Wayne? So stuff like that's like, what could have been? Or when they've been like, no, we're going to keep them to like one scene so we don't overplay it out like Johnny Depp as Captain Jack.
Right.
Where he gets an Oscar nomination and now we're just gonna, throw them at you at every second we can. No, we're gonna only put them in for like a scene or two, just to have that tension still. Or like that, or like what other movies would he have? What would have been his directing, pattern? Would he become the next Ben Affleck in directing and acting? What other Nolan movies would he worked on? Could he have been in Inception, or Interstellar, or Tenet? Maybe. We're gonna have the future Batman, Robert Pattinson, and Heath Ledger team up in Tenet. That would have been interesting. So I guess my mind is always like, what could have been with him? I think it's just one of those actors, he was just starting.
Yeah.
Like, even though at that point, and really at that point, he was only 10 years in. From 98, when he made his debut in 10 Things I Hate About You, to 2008, where was his last final full performance. And you go, what could have been? When I see actors now that are dying and they're older, I'm like, okay, you had your career. You did it. You have 50.
It's sad to see him pass, but it's like, it feels like we had gotten to know them enough through their work.
Yeah, and like that with him, he was like, you can see he was just starting. Even if you look at his early films, they were all different. He did like more independent stuff. 10 Things I Hate About You and Casanova were really the only romantic films he did. Like Lord of Dogtown, Candy, Ned Kelly, The Four Feathers. Those were a lot more like smaller, like dramatic works. Yeah, you got the occasional Brothers Grimm with Matt Damon. But The Dark Knight was his real first blockbuster. And and even then it's funny because Ledger was originally up for Robin back in the Batman and Robin days. And he's like, no, I'm not playing Robin.
Yeah, we'll sacrifice Chris O'Donnell for that.
He's like, I'm not gonna put on spandex and run around like an idiot. But he decided to take on the Joker. In a Batman universe. Once again, still in the Batman universe. Like, I won't be Robin. I'll just be the psychopath.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting look. And it's almost not that I think when you look at his earlier work, how it's independent and dark, like a Candy, or even like a Lord of Dogtown, or like even Brokeback Mountain. Brokeback Mountain, yeah, is a gay cowboy movie that people say it is. It's a dramatic, dark film. And you look at that and you go, I see. Well, again, it was always, when they announced him as Joker, I was one of those people who went, what? You got Heath Ledger? Because one of the actors they were looking at was Paul Bettany. He was one of the front runners.
Right, and at the time you were going like, that's the clear choice.
When you look at Paul Bettany in A Knight's Tale, he overshadows Heath Ledger. He's that wild, tall, lengthy, crazy, and you go, I can see him as Joker. More than Vision. And you had like Adrian Brody they were looking at, Robin Williams, and you go,
that would have been a trip.
But you go, how did you land on him? Him. How? It's like, well then you go, oh, now I see.
Yeah, once you get the finished product, you go like, oh.
You're like, oh,
makes sense.
If he brought these ideas to Nolan and said, this is what I vision for the character. I'm not going by what's on the script. I'm going by how I see the character. And then, yeah, no wonder why you were chosen. I mean, if you did that if you came into the audition, like in the movie, hands down, you'd be a front runner. I mean, who would say no to that? And be like, yes. Like, even Jack Nicholson. I like Jack Nicholson's Joker. But Jack Nicholson's another one I say, I still see Jack Nicholson in that role.
Right.
I like Jack Nicholson, he's a great actor. But I still see Jack Nicholson. There's no two ways around that. When I watch Joaquin Phoenix, I love Joaquin Phoenix. I still see Joaquin Phoenix. Jared Leto's a whole nother story. And that's a whole nother, I don't know what I see when I watch that. I think most people have no idea what they're watching. But with Ledger, you go, I don't see you. And that's a good thing. That's acting.
Right.
That's the whole point of it. That's why Daniel Day-Lewis is one of the best. Because you don't see Daniel Day-Lewis when you look at his roles, you know. You don't see Daniel Day-Lewis in Gangs of New York and then see him as Lincoln and go, yeah, that's the same guy. No, not at all. Or There Will Be Blood.
Right.
You know. That's where I see someone like a Heath Ledger going, that's where he was going. Like, he was going in that direction. Between Brokeback and Dark Knight. We were only seeing the beginning of what was to come. Now, if Ledger wasn't alive now, I think there would be serious talks about this is one of the greatest actors working right now. You would put him on that Christian Bale, Daniel Day-Lewis list of, yeah, anything this guy does, Leonardo DiCaprio, you're gonna go see. You know? And it's interesting. It really an interesting thought of where, what other directors would he work with? Would he work more with, Christian Bale? Would he have worked more with, Jake Gyllenhaal? The godfather to his daughter. Stuff like that. Like, and we'll never know. That's one of the things you just go, in an alternate universe, he returned as Joker. But we'll never know. So, just wanted to bring that up today because, like I said, since his death, I've always been fascinated by Ledger and have read a lot of his biography books on him and watched his movies and always wondered what could have been. And like I said, that was one of those actors that, when the news came out, just hit me. And it's kind of stayed in that frame of mind ever since.
Always remember to hit subscribe wherever you are. Podcast is available wherever you want to get your podcast. If we are not there, let us know, and we will get there. Remember to like our Facebook page, Attack Bat Productions. We're also going to be putting these episodes up on YouTube. Once again, Attack Bat Productions. The website will soon launch. Same thing, Attack Bat Productions. If you feel as if I'm saying Attack Bat Productions too much, well, get used to it because we got to make sure our name sticks in your head. Thanks for listening, everyone.